He was the fourth person to tell me that I am a Levite. The fourth person to speak with some kind of authority. I will tell you the history. I will tell you the story of this my association with Levites. Starting from these individuals that accused me of being a Levite. One is a lawyer, an Igbo lawyer, who is very much interested in Igbo history. He, myself, the son of the doyen of the anthropologists in Igbo land, we are having a conversation about the Levites in the Igbo society. The Levites are more generally known as Ndi Inri among the Igbos. And at a point they said, you are a Levite yourself, or you are likely to be a Levite yourself. Because I was pretty sure of my provenance, my antecedents, while I did not tell them to go to hell, I believed that they were off the mark completely. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I know that there is some Levitic provenance, but not the way they were presenting it. My family, the Igbo family, when we say the Igbo family, we are talking of the family from your father's side. We have been judges for centuries. We have been judges. We have been obi for centuries. You know, if you come to Igbo land, you will see evidence of colonialism, and you will see evidence of the Igbo real traditional culture. If you come to my republic today, you would find the colonial courts. When you come to my sub-republic, there is also a court. That court is situated in the Obi Ilona. It is situated where my grandfather was buried, where my great-grandfather was buried, where his father was buried, where my own father was taken. As they were bringing him back, his body back from the morgue, they took my father's body to that Obi, fired a 21-gun salute, then brought him back to the place Abai Purobi, where he had gone on exile. I'm trying to use terms that are equivalent to the terms that are more common. Not really in exile, but my father left the family land, bought land outside, built where we live now. But before he could be brought back to be buried where we live now, he was taken. His body was taken to where his father and his fathers were buried. That is where you find the court of my sub-republic. We have been Obi for centuries. We have been judges for centuries. So when this gentleman said, you are likely Nri yourself, I did not believe it. Even though I had gone to the book of Onwe Jogu, whose son was involved in this conversation, and had seen where this man mentioned my sub-republic as one of the sub-republics that had something to do with Nri. You know why I did not accept this? My own family accepted Levites This my family accepted Levites on our land. By the time I came into this world, a lot of things had become fuzzy. While this family was still carrying out the functions of the Levites, they were not going about saying they were Levites. It was up to us, it was up to me, principally up to me to know that they were Levites because they were the people that purified the land when abominations occur. It wasn't their job. Their job was, if somebody committed suicide, to purify the community, then so that the body will be discarded, because the Igbos will never give a regular honor to the body of somebody who took their lives. And interestingly, you know the kind of names you find in this family, Asomba. Asomba means they can live everywhere. The Levites were to live in every part of Israel. They had no land. And where they came from, one of the administrative headquarters of these Levites is called Unri. The moniker of this community is Nriemwehana. Unri has no land. Because right from Jacob, the tradition was that the Levites would have no land. I repeat, right from Jacob, Jacob decreed that Levi would have no land. Then Moses sacralized, Moses made it permanent, or God made it permanent through Moses, that the Levites were to have no land. They were to dwell among brother Israelites. But when these two brothers began to say, "You are Levite, from your father's side," I did not believe. Because if they had said from my mother's side, I would have believed. Because I have come to the realization that my mother was also of Levitic roots. I will ultimately bring all these things together. My mother was of Levitic roots, so I wouldn't have had problems. But when they began to accuse me of also having Levitic roots from my father's side, I disagreed. Because unfortunately, people who are not historians, I don't mean these two figures, they have the right kind of education to get involved in Igbo history. One is a lawyer, one is an architect. Both of them live in America where you have a lot of resources, so they can investigate. But we have people who don't have any kind of training in history or any of the humanities getting involved. So you find them trying to talk about Menri, Gala, Yoruba, Bini. These are completely different peoples. If there had been no Nigeria, 99% of the Igbos wouldn't have known that the Yoruba people existed. The Yorubas are not Israelites, but you are beginning to see Igbos who play politics, who think that there is money to be made from getting involved in Igbo history. So, because I remove all these tendencies with a broad stroke of the brush, I told them, men, I'm not Levite from my father's side. I would rather think that I'm Zebulonite, because the name of my republic is Ozobulo, and historians have located it to Zebulon. And we have been judges. How can I be a judge and at the same time be a Levite? That was my thinking. But meanwhile, Yehonatan Elazar Mota had been suspicious of my provenance. He had suspected Levim, Levi. Then this morning, somebody from one of the headquarters of the Levitical community, the guy we sent to begin to engage with the Levites for us, said that he has conclusive proof that my father's family is Levitical. I thought he was joking. Then he began to tell me things that only people who are of Levitic background and historians would know. The judges or the Levites in early Israel were judges. Of course, there were Israelites who became judges who were not Levites, but they became judges because circumstances threw them up to defend the people, like Gideon, like Samson, But how they became judges was different from how my family became a judge family. And unlike these gentlemen that just served people like Deborah, Gideon, Samson, that served the people and, the position left their families, those Levites continued in the position of judges. When he said this, I virtually broke into tears. I am a descendant of Levites from my father's side and from my mother's side. And that is why the two families met. That was why my father went and married into a Levitical family. Remember, the Levites, we are supposed to marry only Levites. Now I'll talk about my mother's family. The Levites were the medicine men in Israel. The Bible said if you have leprosy, go to the priest. My mother's family, medicine is even in their name. Medicine is even in their name. The Igbo family is a very large family. The family of the Israelites was the family of Abraham. So think about the extent of this family. Everybody that came from my mother's family is a dibia, a medicine man, a priest of some sort, basically a medicine man. That was why my father had to marry from there, because the Levites were supposed to marry the Levites. We will keep accumulating this information for the Igbos, for Jews, for Samaritans, for Karaites, for better Israel. The Torah is as relevant today, even more so than it was 4,000 years ago. I look at events in the world. Anti-Semitism is still alive. The people of Israel are still persecuted. They can only be saved by understanding the Torah and the manner which produced the Torah and trying to live by them. The God of Israel does not expect us to be perfect, but he wants us to try to do the commandments. When Israel and God faced off on this, Israel said, all that the Lord has said, we will do. What he expects us to do is to try to do. And as we near a particular period in history that I'm trying to make sense of, the more Menana we do, the more Torah we do, the better for us. And I can see forces for good aggregating. Since the past 6 years, I have studied with a visionary. He's Ashkenazi. In recent times, we discussed his DNA. He may be Levine too, or he may have some Levine too. I called him visionary for a reason. In due time, not too long from now, we would see how this man was able to see what most people were not able to see. And as I have said severally, I have a sister. I call her a sister because almost every day we talk. And we are so similar. We double down. She's Ashkenazi. She's a wife. She's a mother. She lives in Israel with 5 of her children. And you know what we discuss? Torah, Umena, and Judaism. And every Shabbat, you find Randall Benjamin, African American Igbo. You will find Shimon Samedi, African American Haitian Igbo. You will find the Talmud, husband and wife, African American Igbo. You will find Nze Rabbi Matthias Odo. You will find Nze Rabbi Shira Obiora. You will find Nze Rabbi Charleston Okafor. You will find Nze Rabbi Professor of Medicine Francis Duru. You will find Nze Rabbi Napoleon Eronidi, all sitting down discussing what? Torah and the Omenana. If we don't want to recognize the potence, probably Nze Rabbi Osuji, Nze Rabbi Igbo Hebrew, they will tell you that we are moving towards something that could be referred to as an epoch in time to come. And before I yield, Udo Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Dalo, have a beautiful day.